Hey folks, thank you for joining us with another exciting episode of YOML. This is, as you all know, the year of magical learning. And today we are on a two-part series of a book. I think this book is about, wherever you go, there you are. So I think it's interesting title. I'll let Chris introduce his reflection and let's see what he got.
Yeah, I mean, this book, like you said, it's called Wherever You Go, There You Are. It's about mindful meditation in your everyday life by John Kabat-Zinn. This book's all about just mindfulness and meditation and understanding meditation a little bit more. It's a really short book, and it's a book that honestly, I feel like I'll read this book probably at least 5 to 10 times my life, going forward. I haven't gone back to revisit it yet as I'm trying to finish this journey, but as soon as I'm done with this, I want to go back and revisit this book in particular. It's gave me a lot of peace and calm during. Actually, that's what reflection one is. I'll just go ahead and share my screen because the first reflection from this book got me thinking a lot. The reflection title on this one is "Making My Peace with the Here and Now." And when I was writing this reflection, can't remember exactly what month this was. Maybe this was like August of 2022. And, we've been doing this for about a year now. And I was feeling really off balance that month. So our thing is we're trying to seek balance and seek, by living our purpose and trying to live all of our values as much as we can with our actions every single day and find that balanced state. Like you said, even when you're walking, if you're doing it right, you can stay in balance, like and keeping everything all together. Well, for this particular book and this particular month that I was reading this, it's always funny to see the ebbs and flows of this journey with me in particular. And as I go back and revisit it, I was all out of whack this month. I had started the Wim Hof challenge with my monthly challenge that I was doing. So I was doing these breathing exercises and cold immersion therapy, or cold immersion showers every day. I was finishing. This is the month when I floated like 2 or 3 times that month. I went into those saltwater baths and just floated in a deprivation tank kind of thing, and then I capped this month off with a book on mindfulness and meditation. Wherever you go, there you are. And it got me it just shot me from this. I was like in this go value dopamine driven molecule more. This is all following up on the molecule more just a few weeks ago that we just talked about, right? And I'm like, oh, we're on the right path, right? Like values can really drive your dopamine. If you're doing that, you can keep yourself, aligned and balanced in the here and now, et cetera. And I realized as I was going through this particular month, I've spent the better part of almost 2 years fully focused on controlling dopamine and running as fast as I can to the future. And it makes me think of all the things that we've done over the past couple of years and all the different new projects and new challenges. Kind of was all to stay focused on the molecule of more and all that other good stuff, right? And to keep your mind aligned there. I completely had forgotten about the here and now. As I started to think through when I was reading this book, and I was looking back on my life, it kind of made sense to me. Like the last time that I had been in the here and now, if you will, was fully immersed in the here and now was after Amelia had passed away. And I hated that feeling. It was awful. It was something it was awful. That's all I could feel was the searing pain of the here and now. I didn't think about the future anymore. And then when I found a way for us to live a life of purpose and meaning again and a value driven life and still have Amelia in my life, I took off and ran with it, and it felt good. And I felt like I was myself again. But the whole entire time, our goal was balance. If I'm being honest, I was running away from the here and now a lot. And all that stuff started to compound together. The Wim Hof, this book, the floating, the other things, it just put me in this weird state that month, but in a good way. It slowed me down and it made me realize there is no goal to all this. A lot of stuff that we've talked about, just breathe and enjoy where you're at. And a lot of the stuff you talk about and not running for trains and having an anchor into the present and just feeling more relaxed and present with what I was doing and not trying to achieve something and not trying to push myself to go further and further with Amelia and run further away from the last time that I was in the here and now. So this time coming back to the here and now, I felt that it actually was balancing me out a little bit more. I felt like I could still do the same stuff that we were doing, but also at the same time could stay connected a little bit to the present moment versus thinking about, what's next. I feel like this book was a great way to remind myself, come back to the here and now every once in a while and to find that balance every single day between the molecule of more and what's going on today and just truly try to find that balanced existence, because I'd forgotten all about it. So that was the first part of the reflection. And the question at the end of this was, how are you making the here and now part of your daily life? Molecule more is great, but so is oxytocin and serotonin. You got to experience it all if you want to be balanced. Pause there and get your thoughts.
I think the dopamine, to me, I think that's essentially, you have to balance between the molecule of more and the molecule of here and now, because when you focus on the dopamine, you focus on the future, which means that whatever we think, whatever imaginations of the future that we have for today, most of the time it doesn't come out to be the way we thought it would be. And
Right.
so it's a waste. So for
Hardly ever.
me, exactly.
Right.
So for me, the here and now is all we got. We don't have the future because the future is not here yet. Therefore, it won't come to the way you expect it to come. And the past is gone. You can never get it back. So there's no need for anyone to be focusing on something they can't control. Because you think about the molecule of more like dopamine, right? And I think that dopamine essentially it's part of who we are as a human being, but I think it's part of the thing that kind of drives us in a way that is not who we are. Because the reason why I say I'm thinking that because dopamine has the ability to be a double-edged sword. It could make you be a better person or make you be a worse person,
Right.
depending on the perspective of, let's say, I tell you to be really hustling, bustling. I need you to have grit, eat the frogs. And if I tell you do that and you say, this is going to give you a better future, give you better crisp, better true, right? Then you strive for it, but you strive for something that you don't know if it actually comes to reality. And
Right.
that could be a bad thing. And I think dopamine in today's society, it is becoming that kind of a pill that you chase because dopamine, you can never catch it.
Right.
You can never catch the future because the future is uncertain. It's in flux. So I think that's why we have to, as far as I'm concerned, right? And I want to make sure that I'm explaining myself a little bit better before you jump into conclusion. What I'm saying is we want to have more of the here and now molecules than the molecule of more the dopamine molecules, right? Because but with the exception that you have to find out who you are first to be able to utilize the molecules of here and now. So let me give you an example. If I'm a beaver, right? Beaver must dam, okay? You can get that. But if I were lost in a lion den, right? I don't know who I am. To become the here and now and to embrace the mindfulness of, okay, what is here today? I think I'm a lion, right? And to me, the mindfulness is not correct if you don't have the things configured correctly. Meaning that if I were to say, appreciate what you have today, right? Appreciate all the things that you see today. Imagine I'm a beaver. I'm in a lion's den, right? I think I'm one of the lions,
Right.
and I take in the molecule of the here now, right? Meaning I'm taking whatever I see as existence and I appreciate for that, but that's not who I am. And that creates this conflict within myself as that creature, right? So for me, is you have to get the dopamine of more first to go and explore yourself, to become more of what you want, more of what you think who you are, who you should manifest. And then you should switch it up to having the market of more, less, and the market of now to be more in terms of the percentage ratio, let's say 80-20. But you cannot have, like I said, to me, mindfulness doesn't work, right? Unless you have got to the point where you know yourself first, you know who you are, then
Yeah.
be mindful of whatever
Uh,
that you have. Because if you don't have it yet, you need to be chasing
right.
that piece of yourself that you need to know what you are first. Because
Yep.
if you take the here and now, you're on the wrong fucking bus. Therefore, it's not gonna get you anywhere. So that's why to me, the meditation books and all the mindfulness meditation and this and that, it doesn't last because yes, I feel like okay, I should be appreciative of what I am. I should eat the frog. Well, how should I be grateful about appreciate the act of eating a frog every day?
Right.
How can I embrace that? I just can't because it's not who I am. If I'm a pelican or I'm some kind of bird that eats a frog, then yes, that's the mark that I want. But if I'm a human or I'm somebody who isn't, frog isn't on my menu, then to me, eating a frog is not something I should be eating. And if I practice mindfulness, then I'm doing the wrong way. So that's what I'm saying is a correlation between you have to get the molecule of more to drive you towards where you need to go, find out who you are, then you have the ability to take in more of the molecule of here and now. Because you think about, okay, let's see an example. Let's say you imagine Luca, right? He's 10 years old. He is a teenager. You imagine this young man that has his core values and whatever, right? You imagine your son and you're proud of your son in the future, right? That's the molecule of more. That's a dopamine that once you say, I'm going to take care of Luca, that drives you to become a good father so that Luca will become that person in the future, right? That makes you feel good to a certain extent, right? That's a molecule of more. Now, so that's good feelings, right? That's good emotions.
Mm-hmm.
Now let's go back to the oxytocins, right? Let's say Luca comes to your office, right? And you were working, whatever, and he wants to hug you. That's oxytocin. You feel a positive emotion just as well as you feel the dopamine emotion. You think about the here and now, it's just as good, probably more sustainable than the market more once you get to the point where the diminishing benefit, right? The more you put in, it diminishes. So to me, you have to get to the point where you need to trade the ratio of the molecule of more, the dopamine, over to the oxytocins and the other molecules because the oxytocin is what you want. You want the here and now. You want to get to a certain state, not a destination, but a certain state of being instead of flux. You want to be able to be with your family. You want to be able to talk about the values that is important to you. You want to be able to talk about your daughter, which is important to you. You want to do these things. So to me, the molecule of here now is more important, but you cannot just take it right out of the gate. You need the molecule more to lead you to a place where you can take in the molecule more. Because if you take the molecule more in the wrong phase of your life, then it's going to cost you the conflict and the headaches. Because you imagine me think of myself as a lion, or as whatever people say, or say think of myself as something that I'm not. Hey, I'm this kind of person. I'm an alpha male. I'm a beta male. I'm a kind guy. I'm a villain. Whatever it is that I think I should be. Which whether or not my body, my physical trait is aligned with that, that is the different story. Because once I align with it, thing to me, say if I were able to be a villain of some sort, right? Do I have the ability to withstand the ability to do bad things to people? If I can't do that, then I cannot imagine myself or act in a way that violates my principle. For example, I hold integrity to be a high value. For me to lie to people, it takes a lot of effort. I have to convince myself multiple times for me to lie to people, right? Because that's what it conflicts with the values I hold. Same thing with balance, right? When I hold balance, right, as a high value, and you telling me that I have to meet up with somebody for a meeting that doesn't have the value, I'll say no. I tell you, hey, I just can't make it. I'm not gonna say, oh, let me see what I can do. No, I can't make it. I'm not going to try to say, okay, what else can I fit in, right? So that's what I'm saying is once you understand who you are, then the molecule of more, you don't need the molecule of more.
Need it, but you need it less, is what you're saying. And I agree with
you want the molecule of here now more, but not at the wrong place in time where of when you have found yourself or you have it.
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying, actually. I think you're spot on. And the funny thing is that you need the drive to figure out who you are and to do that on purpose. But then you need the molecule of more, you need the here and now to focus on enjoying that shit.
Exactly. Otherwise, you keep chasing something else. You say, "Well, I'm imagining Luca become 10 years old. I'm imagining Luca becoming 20 years old.
Enjoy him in the present,
Exactly. You say, "Well, what is he doing now? I have no idea."
Or you do, but you're just trying to get to the next thing to teach him the next lesson or something.
Exactly. Molecule of more, it overpower the here and now, and you don't enjoy it because you think about he's like growing up fast, right? Meaning you don't have the time to pay attention to him, and then you miss out on that. And that's the thing is when you say, well, I'm doing this for Luca, I'm working my ass off so I can provide Luca with the best daycare, with the best nanny, with the best, whatever life it has to offer. I want to give him that. That's the molecule of more talking. But you sacrifice the here and now
Your son just
for
wants to
that.
hang out with you, like they just wants to spend a little time and enjoy your presence while you're in front of them and not have you be on your phone. This has been a big transformation for me in the second half of this whole entire journey. Writing every morning now for this particular journey, I'm getting these conflicted molecule of more driving me towards some goal or outcome, of 365. But at the same time, I'm like, it's making me not enjoy the here and now every morning when I get up, because I'm rushed. Luca's got to go to daycare now because our nanny has officially welcomed her child into the world. So we decided to put him in daycare. So I'm on the clock every morning to get my writing done by a certain period of time before he wakes up. And if I don't get it done, then I'm like halfway through a thought, and then I got to revisit it back in the middle of the day. And then I got to find time to make sure that the books that I'm reading are either short enough or long enough to perfectly time it to be able to have more time to write in the morning, to get to the next thing the next day. And I know why I'm doing all of it. I'm doing all of it to live for two and live with my daughter and experience that with my daughter. But I often forget. I have to remind myself all the time, even with this conversation with you, is to stay present. Like we're not just on this to produce a podcast. We don't give a fuck about a podcast. Talk about what we're here to talk about, which is, what we care about, like to enjoy this conversation today, and to enjoy it for what it is. And it can easily get lost when you get wrapped up in, like what you're saying, into the molecule of more, and you're thinking about, oh, well, just got to get to the next night, of our next podcast or our next podcast. No.
Yeah, we're going to go to the 100 to this is the molecule of more talking. You're missing the current present. You don't have anything else other than the here and now. The future is not guaranteed. The past is gone. You would never have it again. So the present, the here and now, is the only thing you have. Right?
Either enjoy it or you don't.
Have you have to experience life with the here and now. And that's, to me, is the key to mindfulness. Mindfulness is get to the point where you're in a flux and you say, well, you want to maintain that mindset. You want to maintain that mental state. It's not to the point where you're in a rut and you say, I want to be mindfulness of the rut I'm in, right? Right. This is where you need a molecule of more.
Being mindful of the stuff that you like.
Mindfulness is understanding where you are, right? And then also and be able to judge whether that is something you want or something you don't want, right? So for me, a lot of the mindfulness books is talking about appreciate the here and now, but how can I enjoy the here and now when I'm in pain?
I don't want to
when I'm eating the frogs, or when I'm missing my daughter, when I'm away from my son. How can I enjoy the here and now? So the thing is, yes, you want the mindfulness, but there are certain caveats to the mindfulness that you have to be aware of. Be aware of where you are. Okay, I'm not here. I'm at a conference for a business, and I think I'm doing this for my family. I want to give them a future. If you ask yourself those questions, then you should be able to answer the question with multiple options. And when you have that, right, you know that this is what I want or what I don't want. If you're at a conference in a hotel, cold and uncomfortable bed, right? And you imagine your son and your wife with you, or you with them, right? That means that you understand this is not where you want to be. So you need to be able to transition. It's not about saying you can't get into the little, spiral out of control phases, but it's about the recognizing that you are running for train and you need to stop, right? You say, well, I found myself running for train, and I stopped myself saying, I don't need to run for a train. What's the point? There's gonna be another train.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
100%. Like there's like it's that's why this book was an interesting book that I think back fondly on. Like, I'm sure it's not that revelatory of a book or something like that, but it was one of those things where it forced me to stop. Like this month in particular, that when I was the Wim Hof stuff, like breathing, 20 minutes a day or whatever it is, and just like, absorbed into that whole process. And, when I was starting to take cold showers, I would meditate just to get rid of the pain from the cold shower, focus on somewhere that you want to be. It was just weird. Eventually that didn't work. I tried it and I was like, you can't go anywhere else. You just got to absorb what's going on in front of you until it goes away. This whole entire month was like this weird life putting the brakes on me and saying, just slow the fuck down and enjoy what's going on. And I feel like that this was a big pivot point for me. I still am not great at this, and I'm still, I still wrestle with this balance every single day.
What balance is like, let's imagine you're standing up, Your muscle is twitching back and forth like this. It's not like it stands still. It's just kind of switching back and forth to kind of keep your balance. Just like walking up on a tightrope, right? The guy's holding that long stick around and he's kind of wave up and down because he's going to balance it. It's never that the stick's still. The stick's
Right.
never still. So how,
Right.
you're on a balance, right? When you're on a balance, you balance something, right? Something has to move in counter to each other to make sure that it stays because it never going to be, hey, when you get to the point where, oh, it perfectly stand up and it's balanced.
Right.
Well, that's not balance. I mean, that's when, because the thing is, we are born to be in motion. Therefore, balance in motion is not the same thing as standing still. You can't
Yeah.
just sit something on something standing still and doesn't move, right? That's not life, right?
Right.
And that's not balance. I said, I put a cup on a table, right? And it just sitting on a table. You don't call it balance. If I were to put something that maybe standing up on a single point and I'm trying to make sure it stay, that's called balancing. But you put a cup on a table, hey, it's balanced. You don't ever call that balance because it's not, right?
Right.
Balance is the ability to kind of adjust and always in constant adjustment.
Right.
It's not just one thing. Hey, you sit there and it's balanced.
You cannot live a life of dopamine only, and you cannot, like, values are great, but like you said, values are great to take you to where you are, to understand who you are, and to do that on purpose, and to find those activities that relate to this stuff, like, right, like that is important, and to see into the future, the compound effect, all that other stuff, right, to drive the activity that you want to drive for the future. Like, that is what we've talked about this for forever, but I think on the other end of the spectrum is enjoy what you're doing in the present. If you say that these are your values and this is what you like to do, don't forget to enjoy it. Like, literally be present in the moment.
It's book that we ever talk
It is.
about. It's The Alchemist, right? The young guy has to hold this spoon of oil and walk around the palace. Just
Right.
like for us, right? You can't say, well, I don't worry about the future of my son Luca. And then on the opposite end, you can say, well, I'm not going to worry about what he's doing now. I'm just going to worry about his future. I'm going to think about, imagine him 10 years old. What should I
Right.
be doing to get him, and what should he look like and behave like and have at 10 year old, at 20 year old, at 30 year old, or whatever, right? You are in another realm just because you are projecting yourself into a future that never would happen, right? But
Right.
at the same time, right, meaning that you are prudent in prepping him for the future. You're going to teach him all of the things that you want to teach him, but then you forgot how to enjoy his presence today.
Right.
The way that he does things, the way that he plays with his toys, and the way that he interacts with you. You forget, you don't pay attention to that. So the molecule of more takes over. Or you get to the other end of the spectrum where you only look at what he does today. You record him 24/7 and you watch him all the time and you don't think about his future. Well, then he may not have a future that you want. So to
Right.
me, it goes back to what we're saying is balance is at the center of all the thing that we do. The molecule of more and the molecule here and now has to be in balance. And in certain situations, you're gonna need to lean a little bit more to the molecule of more. In some situations, you need to lean more to the molecule here and now. Depending on, if let's say I'm on a bike and the if the bike leans too far to the right, then I
Right.
need to lean all the way back, all the way to the other left side to counterbalance it. I can't say, oh, it leans to the right, and I go straight out and do 50-50. It's not going to balance. So that means that the molecule of more, like the ratio of the molecule of more and here now, is going to have to slide to a certain side depending on where you are in life. Where are you tilting in life at the moment? And if that were to say, well, if I don't have what I have to, if my here and now is not what I want, then I need to adjust more and give more focus, more attention to the market of more, so that I can prepare for what I need to do to become to the state that the here and now can be enjoyable. And then
That's
after that, you shift it a little bit back to the more of the molecule of here and now.
right. This reflection is like, I was so far to the other end of the spectrum in the here and
Mm-hmm.
now after Amelia passed away. I mean, like, literally, I don't know that I could think past 5 minutes in front of my face. I was just in a daze, like everywhere that we went, every interaction that I had, I was there. I was only there. It was in that there.
Yeah, it's a pendulum swing because
Right.
from what I know about you, before Amelia came to your life, you were more like completely loaded up on dopamine. You think about the
Yeah,
future. You
pretty
think
much.
about.
Yeah.
I mean, you think, man, even when you on the day when she was supposed to be and your wife was supposed to be at home or doing whatever with her best friend, right? You went and exercised, right? You thinking of the molecule of the future. You say, I
Yeah.
gotta go get a workout, right? I need to do blah blah blah. Right? You think about something else versus what is happening. And then what is happening? What should I doing? Whatever. You don't think about that because this your molecule was not there. You are loaded with dopamine, and then once a minute comes to your life, and the whole atomic bomb happens. Right? There's nothing you can do except for looking it directly in your face. You can't think past 5 minutes from now.
Right.
What happened 5 minutes from now? You can't even fathom the ability to even think about, okay, in 5 minutes I'm gonna get something to drink. You don't
Right.
think about it. I know that I don't have the atomic bomb that you have, but I have enough experience and have gone through enough events where the health of my kid, come into jeopardy. And then I have experienced some of that. What I experienced is the same as yours. It's just very short. Yours
Right.
was long. When my daughter was in the emergency room, I felt the same way. I can't think past the next step. I just can't. I mean, it doesn't even cross your mind.
Right. Exactly. I mean, and so like you're right, and I'm sure if we all have experiences of things that are scary or traumatic or whatever, where whether the duration of the time is irrelevant, but yeah, you're right. That feeling is how I felt for months. So when the pendulum started, when I found a way out, and when Amelia and I started to figure out this process, like we went all in on this, and that was great. And it took us to where we wanted to go, and it took us to where this journey's led us on. And then eventually I think this was about the time of the journey where the pendulum started to swing back of, okay, that's great. We know where we are. We know where we're going. I know what we're doing, but I don't know where we're going, and that's okay. But like, this was a reminder to enjoy this stuff every single day. I don't have to think about, I need to think about, this is with my daughter, or when I'm on a run in the morning. It's not just checking off another box to go on a run in the morning or something like that. I mean, hell, even just last week, I was playing in a tennis match. It was the most bizarre thing ever. After each point, like, yeah, I may have gotten frustrated or something like that, if I missed a shot or something. But after each point, I was just calm. Just like, okay, all right, here we go. Like, next point.
Yeah. So once you get to the point where you can handle any situation, I mean, it's very fitting because you think about it,
Yeah.
like it say, wherever you are, right? Wherever you go, there you are. That means that you can enjoy every part of your life, no matter what happens. Whether
Right.
you win a tennis match or you lose a tennis match, you still feel like yourself. You can be in that state. That is where you want to be. That's where
Right.
the molecule of here and now is so powerful. You think about it, the moment that you say, well, I'm able to be happy wherever you go, you have found out the perfect place for you to be. Because anywhere you are, that's where your happy is. And if you can get there, this is when you're talking about having the immediate, like, mindfulness. You're mindfulness all the time.
You're just locked in on whatever you're doing because you're doing stuff that you like, that aligns to your values and who you are and your purpose. And then B, you just enjoy the stuff, like it's funny because you could say that you love tennis and you could say that it aligns to all your values, but then you could go play tennis and not have fun, like, and not enjoy it. Like,
Hmm.
that's very easy to be done. You could go have this conversation with you and I every single night and go, gosh, I'm so exhausted after this and I'm just ready to go to bed. Like, and I'm just looking at the clock. It's 9:13 right now, and I'm, like, man, is this thing gonna wrap up anytime soon? As I'm ready to go to bed, is True gonna talk about the damn beaver again for
Beaver
another
must
game?
stand.
Yeah. Like, I mean, I could easily be thinking that same thing, or you can go, I'm just gonna enjoy this. Like, I mean, I don't know how many times we're gonna be able to have this conversation with each other. I don't know how many times that we're gonna be able to, to talk about something that's meaningful to both of us, that we can enjoy, and it gives me energy, and it gives me the ability to wake up tomorrow and to keep fighting again. You know what I mean? It shouldn't be lost on you to enjoy what's going on right now, even if you say you love what you're doing, it's so easy still to look past it to the next time you get to do it versus just focusing on today. I think that's the big takeaway for me with this book and mindfulness is just lock in on what you're doing. If you say you love to do stuff, then lock in on it.
Once you align with who you are, because this is the way I feel. Once you align with who you are, you feel free. You feel free from anxiety. Whenever you are really who you are, you be real on purpose. You feel so free. And that's what I'm saying is the dopamine of more. It's probably more of a decoy than anything, because for dopamine of more, there is so much you can do because you're trying to go against something. You're trying to get out of something, right? But imagine you're at a state where you are free to do, you are free from all the concern that you have, whether that's financial, safety, security, whatever it is. You're free from those concerns. Let me ask you then, if you're free from that, would your mind be more powerful and more creative, or would it be worse than a mind where you have to worry about the future, where you need to do to get out of certain sticky situations? This is where once you find out who you are going to produce the 10x anyone and call it play. To me, you're going to be putting inventions that no one can ever compete with. Now you're gonna dish out inventions like after inventions, because your mind is so free to do what it does best. It is not constrained and dragged down by the worries and concerns of something else. So that's why I'm saying a dopamine is essentially part of a gene that allow us to worry about the future. But I think that is not something we want to use too much, right? Because you think that if I have
potent,
no dopamine, that I won't do anything and I will be useless to society. I disagree. I disagree with because when I am in my best state, if I'm a beaver, no one can beat me in building the better dam than me, right?
Yeah,
you think about it, and if you are a tennis player, right, and that's who you are, and you put in like 10 hours, 12 hours a day, and you call it play, who can compete with you in figuring out what is the best way to get better and better and better and better? Who can beat you? So your contributions to society will be much greater once you can get to the point where you can embrace the molecule of here and now. So for me, the molecule of dopamine should be used as little as possible to get to a point where you need to be, and then utilize the most of it that you can. I don't have to worry about stuff. I can think clearly. I can do things. I can have creative ways. If you, you and I come on to a lot of these episodes, right? The podcast, right? And even before we start the podcast, you will have these ideas and that idea, right? Where do you think that comes from, right? Your mind is allowed to create, to think freely, and this is where ideas come from. But if you had, or you so fixated on something, where would the ideas comes in? It just get blocked out, get filtered from your mind. You would never have those ideas that you come and
it
told
doesn't
me
even get
about.
blocked out.
You never registered it in your brain.
Right. The only thing that exists is like you're thinking about the next task and the next thing you have to get done, and the next, oh my God, I gotta go. Right now I could be sitting here thinking I'm out of. I actually have a. I don't have another. I normally queue up all the reflections to write it to send out. On Buffer on social media. I'm out for tomorrow because I have I wrote 2 new ones in the past couple of days that I can turn into blog posts and post it out there. And I could easily be thinking, oh shit, I gotta get that done tonight before I go to bed. And I honestly, right before this call, I was like, I don't care. I'll do it tomorrow if I can. It's not a big deal. It's not like I can change anything.
But then you think about it. If you get to the point where you don't have to do it, your reflection will be so meaningful.
Yeah,
it is going to be because because thing is, you're not distracted.
Right.
You're not distracted. So that's what I'm saying is, I've, for whatever reason, for the longest time, I have wanting to figure out how to unlock the subconscious, unlock the brain, so to speak. And this is what I think about all the time. It's like, what if, people say the molecule of more, the dopamine drives you, making you better, competition makes you better, but I don't see it that way. It conflict with what I think, right? Because you think
It
about
does
it,
short term. It does short term.
it's gonna
Right.
squeeze you until you
Right.
can joke out of it.
Right.
But the moment that you squeeze out, you basically are not be able to control the directions and the speed because it just goes.
Right.
But you have no control over, okay, I need to sway to the left, to the right, whatever. You have no control when I squeeze you out because that's what dopamine does. It's just like, hey, I need to get this, I need to do this. You need to do a bunch of things. But that's what makes you fixated on that particular thing. But if you're fixated on the wrong thing, how can it benefit you? If you're on the wrong bus, it doesn't matter how fast you go, you're not going to get to where you want to be.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, not only that, like, even if you're on the right bus, who cares how fast you're going? You don't know where you're going anyway. Like the title says, wherever you go, there you are. I mean, we've said this over and over again with this entire journey, the Lion Tracker's Guide to Life. I don't know where I'm going, but I know how I'll get there, right? Like there is no speed of how you'll get there, like there is no, we don't know where we're going. Like, why do you need to go fast? Why do I need to churn through reflections? Why do I need to churn through books so I can get another reflection out to something? Just enjoy it for what it is, because I like to learn and I like to spend time with my daughter, and these are part of my values, and that's what I want to do. Or if I want to have this conversation with you, we're on our own mission to figure out how to help other people do the stuff that we're trying to talk about and to show them a path forward. But there's no hurry. It's not like we need a capital investment, injection of $10 million to achieve our goals of helping people to find balance.
That's just our conditioning talking, not us
Exactly.
talking, right? Because we were told when we were growing up, right? This is the thing you need to do. This is what men does. This is what a woman does. This is what society expects of you. You need to have a college education. You need to, buy a house. You need to get married. You need to have kids. You need to, pay taxes, and like it's patriotic to pay taxes or whatever.
Which, culture's pretty strong, man. You can really F with your mind,
That's what I'm saying. This is the conditioning talking. It's not really who you are. But the caveat for me is that you have to be careful, because you can't say, well, I'm going to stop being mindfulness today and I'm going to accept the way things are, right? I'm not telling you to do that. I only tell you to say, well, you need to figure out who you should be based on your characteristics and your personality that need to manifest. And you find out who you are, then be mindfulness and be there you are, quote unquote, but only until you found that. Right? Don't say I'm in a lion's den, or I'm a lion, and then okay, I'm gonna behave like a lion, I'm gonna roar like a lion, I'm going to go and chase after the my prey like a lion, right? I mean, you can't, right? So there are multiple parts to being in a state. You can't just take a book and say, well, I need to be there, I am, right? What does that mean, and how can I do that? To me, that's why a lot of these mindfulness thing doesn't stick. It doesn't stick because if you tell me, like, hey, true, right? You're in whatever, right? Now your job is to eat this fucking frog every day and go do chores all day long for the rest of your life, right? I cannot be I say, okay, I will be mindfulness. I want to be here now. I say, well, my life sucks.
The first time that I ever heard of mindfulness, I was like 20, maybe 25 years old. And there was a 60 Minutes piece that they did on mindfulness. And it was this guy that was in this California Center for Mindfulness. And they were interviewing this dude. And he's like, how do you do mindfulness? And why is it so valuable? And he's talking about it. And he's like, as you're walking, be present with your walking. As you're taking a shower, enjoy the shower, and like, and just be in the shower. And I'm like, okay, all right, it's kind of interesting, whatever. And I'm like listening to this guy talk, and I was like, it's kind of interesting. So I remember actually for the next like few weeks, I tried to, when I was in the shower, like just be in the shower, right? And just be like, this. I'm not even joking. I was like, all right, be mindful. I would sit there and tell myself, like, be mindful. All right, water's hitting me. I'm in the shower. And I'm like, I just got to get the fuck out of the shower. Like I'm like, I got to move on. I was like, I got other stuff to do. I'm like, this is stupid. I can't be mindful. I can't be in the moment,
Why it doesn't stick
But yeah,
you?
this is what I'm getting at. I don't really give a shit about showers. Why do I want to be mindful in the shower? Like, why do I want to be mindful with my feet in the grass? I don't walk in the grass with my bare feet. That isn't something that appeals to me. That isn't a part of my values, right? These aren't activities that allow me to Chris. Now, fast forward, many years later and all the stuff that we've gone through and all this whole journey, like, I know what I want to be mindful of now. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to be mindful of the other shit. Like, if there's stuff that I just have to do, you should ask yourself, do you have to do it? And then that's a whole other conversation. But B, like, let's just assume you it is a task that needs to be done for the day for whatever reason. Like, taking my son to daycare. Like, I don't need to be mindful of dropping, I mean, I guess it could be, but if that aligned to my values, but I guess maybe that's a bad example, making breakfast, like food isn't one of my, like, food has nothing to do with any value for me. I mean, honestly, like, I don't really care. It's not a big deal for me. I just really just want to eat the food, cook it, and move on. Like, like the faster I can do that, that's fine. I don't want to sit there and be mindful of the food that I don't really give a shit about anyway. Like, now I can know what to pick and choose how to be mindful on. Is this making sense what I'm trying to say? Like,
Right, because the thing is, to me, mindfulness, it's
not
about the flow state. Flow state to me, like
that's exactly it. Yes.
It's flow state is what you want, not mindfulness.
Yes.
Flow state means like you are mindfulness of the things you want.
Exactly.
That's it. And the thing is, when you're in a flow state, like, you basically filters out everything around you. You don't see anything. Just like, when I was coding on something I really love, right? Like, you can call my name like 10 times and yell at me and I won't respond because I don't hear you. Right. The only way for you to get my attention is to go and actually tap me on the shoulder because I'm completely lost in whatever it is I'm doing. That's a flow state, right? Because that's all that is able to your brain is able to focus on. So whatever happens around you, even if there's a fire going on, I still won't know.
You're so spot on, more than you can even imagine, in my opinion. I think you just hit the nail on the head of exactly the way to think about this whole entire thing. Is to your example about the coding stuff. The other day, I was writing in my office up here in the morning, and Felicia had, like, she normally leaves at, like, I don't know, like an hour before I do, or an hour before Luca wakes up or something like that. So normally she's long gone before Luca ever gets up, but she had like a delayed start to the day for some holiday, or they're having like parent teacher professional development or some bullshit. I don't know, whatever it was. She didn't have to start at a normal time. They could start at like 8 o'clock or something like that. So she was still here. Luca wakes up earlier, and I'm up here writing, and I didn't even hear him. Like, normally, like, I mean, I swear to you, I didn't hear. He's right below me. His room is right below me and to the right, and there's like a vent right below. I can usually, hear him, but I'm just hacking away up here in my mind, thinking, writing my reflection for the day, whatever. And she comes screaming up behind me. She's like, "What the fuck are you doing? Are you just gonna torture him down there? What is your problem?" I'm like, "What are you talking about?" Like, I felt really bad, but I literally didn't hear it. I just wasn't even. Yeah,
I mean, right. And that's the thing is, normally you pick it up, but because you're so focused on something and your mind is completely captivated by whatever it is that you're working on, you block out, ignore whatever else is outside you until somebody comes to you and scream at you. And then it could be your writing, it could be my coding, or it could be like some games that you really enjoy. You probably in it and somebody calls your name and you don't hear them until they come tap on your shoulder, right? When you're in a flow state. This is when you are mindfulness about the thing that you're working on. You don't think about anything in the future. You think about whatever that is there, but you don't have any kind of room for the brain to register anything else besides, the basic like necessity where somebody push you and you're off balance, or somebody yell in your face, and then it rings higher than normal, and just like only you, when you register it, when your wife starts screaming. She probably said, "Hey, Chris, can you go see Luca?" You didn't hear her until she come up to you and
she didn't say that. She said what? Yeah, she said, "What the fuck are you doing? Like, you're torturing your son." And I'm like, because I guess he'd been crying for like 10, 15 minutes or something like that. I'm like, I'm kind of blown away that I didn't even hear him, to be honest with you. But no, I think you hit the nail on the absolute head of like, look, I don't want to be in the flow state when I'm doing the dishes unless you just really love. Unless beefing on purpose is doing the dishes, like sure, maybe there's, for somebody it could be, but
who loves it. I mean, it's just like I said, you have to know who you are first,
right?
And you have to be captivated by the here and now of your life. If you're not captivated, then you're not going to be in a flow state, regardless of what you do. You cannot be mindfulness because the thing is mindfulness doesn't work. You tried it, doesn't work. I tried it, doesn't work because that's not where I put value in terms of my here and now. It's not like, okay, I'm mindfulness, oh, I'm in the flow state. How can you be in a flow state? It's just not, it just doesn't make sense.
Right, right. Well, no, I'm with you. So I feel like this is a good place to probably pause, just because we do have another one of these to talk about. I don't even know what the next one is. I'm kind of curious now. I often forget even what the hell I wrote, until I read these, which is fun. Like honestly, it's like new for me every time. Oh, let it go. Oh, perfect. So now the next one will be about letting it go.
Maybe tomorrow you sing. Let it go.
Yeah, right. But I think this is a good place to pause, for the night, because we have another fun conversation planned ahead. I'm gonna get back to the.
Yeah.
Let me get back to the question for everyone is, how are you making the here and now part of your daily life? And I guess we should probably put a caveat to that. Say, how are you making the stuff that you want to do in the here and now part of your daily life?
The caveat for me is like, be aware of the here and now at a certain stage in your life. If you're here now in a stage where you don't want to be, then you may need to
go back to the drawing
board.
board.
Dopamine, right? More
right,
the dopamine.
Right.
Say, hey, where should I be?
Right.
Because you don't want to be in a rut and embrace eating the frog. I just don't do it. Don't embrace the suck. I mean, that's what you and I keep saying. Don't embrace the suck.
If something's not working, don't do it harder. That was a quote that I heard recently. Is like, if something's not working, don't do it harder. Most people are like, oh, well, if you're not getting the results, just do it harder. But you're like, no, don't do it harder. If you're not enjoying it, don't do it
at all.
Fun conversation as always. We will see you all tomorrow night for round 2 of Wherever You Go, There You Are.
Sounds good. Good night, buddy.